Everyone, welcome back to That Entrepreneur Show. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and this season I have worked hard to fill it with entrepreneurial all-stars, and today will be no different. Big shout out to Interview Valet for always sending incredible guests my way. And me and Kenny have wrestled with a date going back and forth for this, and we finally get a chance to lock it down. Both passing Hurricane Ian, him in Orlando, myself in Tampa. And what can you expect from today's show? Insight to provide brands with the quality creative services they need in order to stay ahead. How to utilize social media to scale e-commerce. Insights on how to create unique creative strategies that produce effective results to boost brand awareness, help scale revenues, and enhance the user experience while getting the highest return on investments. We'll even touch on targeted TikTok ads. I know that can apply to a lot of people out there. Me, myself, I'm definitely excited to learn a little more about it because this will help set your e-commerce business apart from the competition, and everything from SEO to web design. These are areas every entrepreneur needs to learn more about. I am terrible with SEO, but you try to get better every day. But for 6 years, Kenny has been helping businesses break through the digital space by providing holistic perspectives and solutions. He has scaled multiple e-commerce brands to consecutive 6- and 7-figure months from his ability to dial in on the user experience. He is on the show as the founder of Grayt Media, representing an average return on ad spend at 460%. We're going to learn a lot of today. As I said before, you could tell the value is here just by that stat right there. And as we have an all-star marketing entrepreneur on the show today, stay tuned for this week's Spotlight story at the halfway point, because we're going to go over the journey of John Loomers. But Kenny, let's start it off. Let's talk to our audience for the first time today. Why did you become an entrepreneur? Can you please share that story?
Oh man, jumping right into it. Yeah, I've had so many jobs. I've gone from assistant home inspector. I've been in hospitality. But where I'm at now probably started at the Golf Channel where I had a marketing internship. But even going to every role, I think it all just came from curiosity. Just kind of, you do one role, then you are like, all right, what's the next step? All right, how does that work? How does this happen? What is this person doing? And, how does the whole machine work? So I think a piece of curiosity, and also I wanted to own it. I think anybody who's worked a job has been like, I can do this better. Or, you just notice a few things where you're just like, this is a terrible place to work. So I want to create a better environment for myself. And if I can create a better environment and, a job, work environment for other people, that actually gets me really motivated. Not going to the bar, trying to make really great cocktails. That was just kind of a means to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Or just going in and updating YouTube descriptions for videos for a large conglomerate. Nothing really put a fire under me about that. So after getting a couple opportunities, it was like, all right, let me do some analytics. Let me try media buying. All right, let me learn email. I want to learn how to build websites. I want to learn how like the whole thing works. So that's kind of what sparked me to go down the entrepreneurial path.
This segment is sponsored by Bedrock Business Builders, a small business startup specialist. Start, build, manage.
I love that. You can have the entrepreneurial mindset in another company and eventually go out on your own. And yeah, I can resonate that with my experience in corporate as well. My mindset with the tasks I was being delegated, I felt there was definitely a lot of, not that I'm Elon Musk or anything, but there are better ways to do certain things for sure. Thank you for kicking us off, Kenny. I'm excited to really dive into your journey, learn all about, as I mentioned, everything from TikTok ads, e-commerce strategies, using social media, and so much more. Let's start out by helping our audience, though, Kenny. What are some of your greatest lessons learned in entrepreneurship?
I mean, when we're talking about just entrepreneurship, it is just a constant challenge. And I think, you could probably relate to that. That's the best and the worst part of it. So many different challenges. You have to wear so many different hats. You're always learning something. Right when you think you're top dog, there, you go to a bigger arena and there's just bigger players there. And you're just like, wow. Yeah, so like greatest lessons in, my entrepreneurial journey has just kind of been, structures, freedom. If you're just kind of going in without a plan, if you don't have an SOP for how you're going to tackle each assignment, you're just kind of lost in some chaos, and then it just kind of it drags on. It takes even longer. But when you have so many different things to do all day, if you have a structure and a way to tackle, let's just say, media buying in this case, because that's a
Mhm.
big part of it, you just follow your instructions, you follow your SOP. You've done it 1,000 times. That way you can just pop in a podcast or you listen to some music and you can get the work done efficiently versus every time approaching a new project and you're just like, all right, how do I even do this? Which I'm sure a lot of people go into, like we spoke about in the corporate world. You realize most people have no idea what they're doing most of the time, and we're just kind of figuring it out. But if you have that structure, it kind of also gives you that freedom.
I have a lot of systems in place for everything I do because you want to work as efficiently as possible. Great points there. Thank you, Kenny. And even your last discussion where you said we wear a lot of hats and you talked about websites. All entrepreneurs, when you're starting, you have an idea, but the back end, I feel that's why most entrepreneurs, they have that stat, don't go past a year. The website rebuild, the website building, I myself learned that too from Wix and managed it myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of time, taxes, email management, as you said, email setup. There are so many things that go behind the scenes. So I'm very grateful you just brought that up because that can just make sure our listeners know that they need to not forget about certain areas, not neglect certain areas. Entrepreneurship, it is that full-time job wearing a million hats. Stay on your path, everyone listening on. You will get to where you want to be. But we're now going to talk about where Kenny is at right now. Let's talk more about your media company.
Yeah, so we mainly focus on ecom brands. So more specifically, I mean, we might have like a dozen Shopify stores under our belt.
Okay.
We help a few startups, and then we also have a few that are, doing over 1 million a month. So it ranges, but we're also helping those people who don't really know what to do, and they're kind of at a starting point, usually lower engagement, but they, like you kind of said, you jump right into it and you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. We've kind of brought up like return on investment and, performance on all these different levels, but that doesn't always mean that you're having a profiting business. I've worked with plenty that have we have great numbers and the ad spend yields a great return, but that doesn't mean they have cash flow. So there's so many different aspects to running the whole business, the brand, the company. It's just more than just getting a great CPA when you're running a campaign.
Absolutely. There are so many parts, but it just keeps me motivated to get excited for the next task, learn how to get better at that task than I did at this time, always improving as entrepreneurs. When did you start your business, Kenny?
So after I was with an agency, I broke off. I had a couple clients, so I was kind of freelancing. So it's probably been around year and a half, 2 years. So we're a smaller agency. We use a lot of contractors, a couple internal team members who kind of help me out with everything. But I think especially in the digital space and in the entrepreneur space, you realize, it's all about your resources. There's so many people who are willing to help you, and you have to know who to ask, how to ask. You have to just put yourself out there as well. So, it's about your resourcefulness as well.
I love that. People are always, or in my experience, not always, many times, always willing to help. They may not be in the position to buy something or want to buy something, but they will be in position to offer their advice. One of the many goals with this show is to have each founder of the company or brand that comes on help our listeners know that they're not alone in these challenging times of entrepreneurship, help them become, as you mentioned before, a little more efficient in their processes and help them find a way to win. There's enough money in the world. There's just sometimes the opportunities aren't as clear. You have to create them, and that's what entrepreneurs do. Kenny, it's been a lights out show. Before we hop into that spotlight story, let's talk about the more challenging areas of entrepreneurship for you. Again, helping our listeners out.
Yeah, plenty of challenges, like we've already said. I'd say one of the things going into starting your own business is you think freedom, right? I do have a lot of freedom. I can go work out in the middle of the day and everything, but the work has to be done. You're still answering to people. It's not like you no longer have a boss. You just have different layers of bosses. So now you don't have some middle manager yelling at you for, you're 15 minutes late to the office, or, you didn't attach this to whatever email for the report, and you're not getting written up. But now you're dealing with clients who are actually paying you as a whole, and they have legitimate reasons. And then as long as you actually care about your work, it actually hits a lot harder, I find. At least you're just you don't want to let anyone down. You want everyone's brand to work, but that's not how business goes. But you're going to give it your all. And then, yeah, just the other part of it is just kind of like I was just alluding to, dealing with some of those losses as well. I mean, not everyone's a winner. We have plenty of great companies under our belt that we've helped scale, but there's also plenty that, as much as you do, as much as you try, they just don't work. And that's okay too. And sometimes we're helping people just discover that at an expedited rate.
Well, what you're doing is certainly a valuable service. And now, because we are in the digital era, we need to find ways to improve our digital base, right? And that's all things Kenny does. He's taught me a lot today, and we still have so much more to go, including which app, workshop or tool is going to recommend to us. And of course, which entrepreneur he's going to sit down with. But as I mentioned, since we have an all-star marketing entrepreneur with us, I think we should go over another's in John Loomers here from his site. And I learned a lot about John Loomer here. To be honest, I didn't know much about him, but I was excited to learn because I know he is so successful, and he calls himself an accidental marketer who never started his own business and is now living the dream. I learned this family perspective he has drew a significant inspiration from the impact childhood cancer had on us. At the age of 2.5, our oldest son, Michael, was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, a rare form of child cancer. Michael had a golf ball-sized tumor lodged between his aorta and spine. The day we learned of his diagnosis was the scariest of our lives. I know that my wife and I will never forget it. While neuroblastoma often presents a challenging prognosis, we were lucky. Michael needed surgery to remove the tumor. He did not require chemo or radiation and is now a very healthy teenager. Now, Michael hosts a lemonade stand to benefit Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation and Childhood Research. And if you don't know about them, it says to look them up, helping others going through that experience who may not be as lucky as we're always be a priority. And I read this part in the beginning because I think it goes to show how the family ties of marketing are being passed down from generations here, making a lot of great happen out of a not so great situation. Great to see him overcome that adversity. And now I want to read a little more about him helping his sons. The crazy thing is that the site for my son's team attracted more traffic in the first 30 days than johnloomer.com had received in any 30-day period during its first decade. It allowed him to build this brand quickly. And in case you're wondering what one needs to study to prepare for the path he's chosen, he was a philosophy major at Cornell College, a small liberal arts school. I would say that the path prepared for me for nothing and everything at the same time. I think it's a great testament to everyone out there. It's never too late to follow your passion, follow your dreams, and make it happen. And I'm going to now bring on our marketing all-star guest. What do you take away from this journey?
Oh, that's awesome. That's a ton of adversity, and it just sounded like he was like kind of how you said, unknowingly setting himself up perfect for marketing, especially in philosophy and everything. It's just kind of understanding human nature, understanding, different perspectives. And that's exactly like the angles you need to take when you're kind of approaching a marketing project. Just what are people going to take away from the message that you're giving them?
And it's cool to see that he had a lot of fun with his son's sites. He said he grew it faster than his own site. Said this business.
Oh, that's how it goes, right? When you're having fun and you're not trying, that's when it works out the best. When you try to put too much thought into it, you're grinding away. It's like, it could be 100,000%. You're like, I'm locked in. I know exactly what this demographic wants, and it's a bust. And then you just throw in like some stupid meme, and it's like, this did amazing.
Yes, that's the truth. Everyone out there, don't give up. Keep plugging away. It will come. But now we're going to go back to helping you out, the listeners. What is one book, workshop, tool, app, you name it, Kenny, that you can recommend to our community of entrepreneurs, something that helps them out?
For entrepreneurs, I think a good book I read, which I'm sure plenty of people have, he's a great author, but Outliers really stuck out to me. And I mean, really, the premise of it is just like a statistical story of what makes you successful, and how you've kind of been saying over and over, just keep going, just keep at it, get your 10,000 hours in, get your 20,000 hours in. And then if you put yourself in the right circumstance, you'll find success.
And that's the truth. I believe that it only one networking opportunity, one email, one conversation that could change your life. Put yourself in the room. As a solopreneur for so long, I wasn't out networking events as much as I liked, but I was hosting these great podcasts, trying to help my guests grow. I was trying to help me grow, help our listeners grow. And it's been such a joy to host. Now, as we were nearing 3 years, we have Kenny, the all-star, coming in today with ending the show with this question, my favorites. And as I think I've spoken about on the show before, I've wrestled with the idea of removing this question because of listeners preferring shorter shows, but I learn a lot about my guests, so I keep it on. Which entrepreneur would you choose to have a conversation with, dead or alive, throughout history?
That's a really tough question. I'm not a big like I don't fanboy over celebrities or anything like that. But I do read up on all the history and the documentaries. So maybe controversial, maybe not the greatest person in history, but what he's done, you can't really deny. So maybe a little Thomas Edison, like
Love that.
just
Yes.
back in the day, just really seizing opportunity, whole different world. That'd be cool. I mean, I don't want to give you like Elon Musk or something, and it's an outlier, right? It's one
Yeah.
of those unique situations. But I mean, I've been read about, Tesla, Edison, the whole thing, but I mean, what Edison was able to do and how he capitalized and everything. And there's a great book on inventiveness and everything. Just really remarkable, just really interesting history behind it all, and kind of also offers perspective and what it takes to just kind of be, the ingenuity to create something.
In my MBA commencement speech, I ended it with an Edison quote. There's a better way to do it. Got to find it. And I love all the people that come on the show and do the titans of industry, the Thomas Edisons, because there was no Google, there was no internet, let alone 1900s. This is crazy how they found success. To be in picking their brain would lead to so many great advances in my own work, I feel. But let's delve a little deeper here, Kenny. Where are you going to sit down with Thomas Edison if you pick the place?
I don't know. I mean, if I had to pick, I don't know if it's as relevant, but I'd just go, old New York City. Like, how cool would that? I mean, now that they've been doing all the new video with the colorizing everything,
So
and
cool.
I mean, that was that was the big centerpiece back in the day. That was the place to be.
Love
It's
the answer.
still cool, but there's so many big cities now. It's just kind of the allure to it, not as much.
I'm with you. I think a lot of things before they progressed and grew were places I would rather visit at a different time, maybe before technology advancement too. We can time travel a bit, but that's another show's chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Kenny, where can everybody find you? Say hello, all things for your business, all things Kenny.
Obviously, I'm on all of social media platforms. But if you wanted to schedule a conversation, you can go to graytmedia.com. Grayt. It's a pun off my last name. I
I like
realized
that.
not everybody hears the great T. So
I didn't, to be honest, so I'm glad you said that.
oh yeah, yeah. So the last name's Gray, and then I'm just I needed an LLC. I needed a name really quickly whenever I was starting everything. I was like, great. I was like, all right, good enough.
Hey, yeah, but what is your social media as well?
I think it's just Kenny Gray. You could just go on there. You can find me at Kenny
Kenny
Gray
Gray.
on Instagram and Facebook.
Great. There it is, at Kenny Gray at Grayt Media. Kenny, thanks again for coming on. And I am at Vincent A. Lancey on all social media. And be sure to check out my YouTube channel that's been growing great because of writing with authors and Vince Story Share. I am at Vincent A. Lancey there. Be sure to check out the show at That Entrepreneur Show on all social media and streaming on all platforms now. With that, I want to sign off with you all until next Friday. Kenny, take care and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.